Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. Especially those of you who braved the wind, I hope everyone had power last night. I hope people at home have power for those of you who usually watch us online. But welcome to Unity of Boulder. Thanks for spending some time here. I got a few quick announcements here of what's happening here at Unity of Boulder. Coming up for Earth Day, we are going to have an Earth Day awareness fair here in Fellowship Fall on Sunday, April 21st. It'll also be a potluck as well, so come for food or bring a dish. We're just going to have a few booths of just a few Earth Day awareness things happening here. It's just a free event. You don't have to register for it. Just come join us and have some fun. And starting this week, this Thursday night it's starting this Thursday night at 6 o'clock. We are having the class Secrets to Living a Successful Life, led by Zoilita Grant, who's a longtime friend of Unity of Boulder, but not to mention that, she has been a longtime spiritual mentor to quite a few people here, myself, my daughter included, Santisha as well. I highly recommend taking any class Zoilita teaches. It's 5 weeks, it's 5 Thursdays long is it Tuesday? Man, this one just keeps changing on me. Yeah, it's Tuesday, sorry. It's 5 Tuesdays long from 6 to 7:30. It's $100 for the whole thing. You can sign up in the lobby, or not the lobby, in the bookstore or online. You can call over the phone. You can sign up the night of. It's starting this Tuesday, but we would prefer if you sign up a little early. It allows her to get everything ready and know how many people she's going to be dealing with. So definitely sign up for that. Now I'd like to call my friend Steve Sheets out here, and we are going to have a moment of prayer. And this is the moment where you can take a sheet of paper that's in the pew in front of you and write down on it the name of anyone that you know, or even your own name that might need some prayer. You don't even have to put their last name, as long as the intention is there. And Steve here will come around and collect it, where it will then get prayed upon at Unity Village for 30 days, 24 hours a day. So, all right. All right, now I would like to, I forgot one announcement while I was doing announcing. Today we do have a guest speaker, but next week Santisha will be back, and she is going to be starting a new 5-week series for the next 5 Sundays, so definitely come check that out. But now I'd like to welcome out today's special musical guest, Bridget Wald, who we have had out. Come on out, Bridget, who we've had here a few times, and we're just getting to know. Bridget, are you playing this song with Brandon? All right. Bridget's going to be joined by Brandon Doris over here.
Check.
Play some music she wrote. Take it away, Bridget.
So great to be back here with you all. And I'll be sharing the first song, which is an original song that I wrote this January. So I invite you all into a place in yourself that allows you to find peace and a kind of quiet, no matter what is going on in your life. And this song came out of a place of encountering that peace within myself in a very long night that turned really beautiful, but was quite hard. And it's called Just Breathe. The road is dark, nights are long. Come here, darling, sing a song. I know you're scared, fundamental loss, ground cracks. This is your cross. Heaven me now, I find I'm not in control. Grace swoops down somewhere, lets me know I'm not alone. Down in the wave of crystal, starting to see that you can really do this even if you don't believe. Just breathe. Just breathe. In your brown eyes, fast asleep. You'll be here tomorrow, just me. She goes out wide, never mind the cost. Slowly, tracks and fox. Every night I find I'm not in control. Grace swoops down somewhere, lets me know I'm not alone. Down in the wave, pressed in, starting to see that you can really do this even if you don't believe. Just breathe. Just breathe. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. That was awesome. So now I would like to welcome out today's guest speaker. She is a transformational psychologist and a life coach for emotional trauma and related addictions. She's an author of multiple books. I would like to welcome to our stage right now Dr. Eva Melanowski. Come on out, Eva.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad you made it here despite the power outages and horrible winds we've just been having. So it's great to have everyone here today. And the title of my talk this morning is Great relationships do not happen by accident. They happen by intention, vision, and attention. And I actually got the idea for this talk from a sign that my hairdresser had, which said, "Great hair doesn't happen by accident, it happens by appointment." But the point is that we have to be aware and present and put the energy in to make great relationships, or what I will be referring to as divine partnerships, happen in our lives. And a little disclaimer here, a little trigger warning. I will be using the word God in my talk, because that's just the word that resonates with me. I do understand that word can be triggering for some, so I would urge you just to replace it with the word higher power, or divine presence, or spirit. The other thing that may trigger some people is I will be talking today about taking responsibility for the other person in our relationships, in our divine unions. And for some people, that can be quite triggering, as well as just the idea of talking about relationships in general, because they are fraught with so many emotional triggers. But I just ask you to sit with your feelings and just see if they can take you to a place of deeper healing today. Creating great relationships is something that I'm very passionate about because of my own struggles and triumphs, as well as the experience I have with working with people for many years and helping them reach their true potential and seeing their pain and struggles with relationships. I believe that we are, as humans on this planet, are superstar manifestors who can create that amazing bubble love, divine partnership experience on this planet. And not only can we create it, but we can maintain it for our whole lives. But you have to give it the attention and energy that it deserves, making it your top priority. And we have to do our own inner healing and inner work so that we can continue to show up in our most authentic and loving self. To be a master manifester of the true love you want, you have to get the momentum going, and then you have to keep it going. Join me now as we deep dive into what it takes to create divine partnerships. I will be giving you overarching ideas, as well as an overview of some very specific techniques that you can use, that you can implement to manifest the relationship of your dreams. So we live on a planet of duality. We have masculine and feminine energy. We have yin and yang, light and dark. And the state of our relationships currently is in trouble. There is dysfunction, immaturity, codependency, a lot of problems. Fortunately for us, a new template of relationships has been set by a group of volunteers that came to this planet. Some call these volunteers twin flames. They endured struggles and travails in order to set the template that is now available for creating divine partnerships for all of us. Though today I will be mostly talking about romantic relationships, you can apply these principles to any relationships in your lives, including the relationship you have with yourself, which is the one that's the basis for everything I will be talking about today. In divine partnerships, it states in the Bible that we want to be evenly yoked. Now, what does this mean? The traditional interpretation of evenly yoked, and that's referring to, like, if you think of two oxen and they have those those things on their back where they're pulling the wagon together. The traditional interpretation of this is that we're of the same faith. A more modern interpretation is that you can be of different faiths, but you support each other in your spiritual journey. And this is what I want to take from this, that God is at the center of these divine partnerships. And then you have the relationship itself, and then you have everything around it. There are 4 tenets of these divine partnerships. They are to navigate, communicate, negotiate, and compromise. Divine partnerships start with an intention. So love is a decision and an action. Of course, we have feelings that are involved. However, it is much more than a fleeting feeling or emotion. We make a decision and an action to see the other as ourselves, and to see their well-being as our own, and to take responsibility for this other person. The famous passage in Corinthians states this about love. Love is patient, love is kind. Love does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, and it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. So that means it's about forgiveness. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And the interpretation of this passage in the Metaphysical Bible is that love is a spiritual quality, and as we come into consciousness of the truth of being, we feel the warmth of divine love in our soul. And it naturally and spontaneously expresses as goodwill, unselfishness, and compassion towards all. So I was once told about an alien race who are very concerned with the vibration of each other and their energy. And their little radars would perk up as soon as they noticed that one of the members of their group, their soul family, was feeling down, that their vibration was off. And they would all kind of rush in to see what was wrong, what was going on. And they would work on lifting up each other's vibration because it was such an important concern to them. And this point illustrates the understanding that I am you and you are me. We celebrate each other's success, and we are concerned, and we see what we can do when things are not going well for the other. So we take that responsibility for each other. We create beautiful energy space for each other, and we make sure that we are all included in that space. So communication is one of the cornerstones of divine partnerships. You want to be communicating your intentions, communicating what you're doing, what's going on with you, and you want to seek to understand what's going on with your partner. In the famous prayer of St. Francis, it states, "Seek first to understand rather than to be understood." And that's something that it takes in divine partnerships, is we want to really understand what's going on with our partner, not be so worried about them understanding us. However, even when we're doing our best to communicate, we will occasionally get triggered. And this is where inner healing comes in. We must first do our own work and our own inner healing in order to be able to really step into these kinds of divine partnerships. When we experience a trigger in our relationships, it usually is due to past trauma. And if we think about where our emotions come from, our mind is like, you can imagine an iceberg, right? And 90% of the iceberg is underwater, so you can't see it, and that's our subconscious mind. So what happens to us in whatever interactions we're having day to day is that they are coming from that deep subconscious mind, that 90%. And only about 10% is the actual current situation. And it's really important just to have that awareness, because it can help us to realize that when someone is triggering us, it probably has to do something with our past. Our relationships and our relationship struggles are our biggest teachers, for they show us what still needs to be healed deep inside. And this is why it is so important to do our inner work and to heal the traumas of the past and even of our ancestors. So this lovely lady is my grandmother. Her name is Halina. And I wrote a book on ancestral healing that you can get here at the bookstore. And Halina is prominently mentioned in this book. And she had an amazing, beautiful love story. She met my grandfather Piotr during World War II in Warsaw, Poland, which was at that time under Nazi occupation. And by all accounts, it was an amazing, amazing, beautiful love. She always told me that he brought out the very best in her, which was something that I always hoped for in my own relationships. He was a visionary. He was a family man. He had great visions both for the future of Poland as well as for his own family. Their wedding was, of course, in secret. They were both in the underground army resistance movement. She told me that they had 1 egg and 1 apple for their wedding feast. They cut up the apple into wedges, and they whipped up the egg white to make a meringue. And she said it was the most beautiful wedding she could have imagined. However, without my grandma knowing in secret, because everything then was happening in secret, my grandfather went off to the Warsaw Uprising and fought in that movement. He was wounded in battle and taken to a hospital. The hospital was bombed by the Nazis and it burned down. My grandmother never saw him again. She never got to see his body, so she continued to think that maybe he was alive somewhere wandering around lost. And she even went back into the bombed out city of Warsaw, which was 90% destroyed after the uprising, and looked for him in the rubble. I've actually had visions of her doing this as if I was seeing that world through her eyes. I got to hear my grandmother's stories as I was growing up. I got to spend a lot of time with her. And what had happened is that when we have a family trauma such as that, it gets imprinted into us, both through the stories we hear energetically and even through our genetic material. So this idea that the greatest love leads to the greatest pain was deeply ingrained in my being, which made me kind of wary of really allowing myself to go into that deep state of love. For I saw how traumatic that was to her. She never remarried, she never had another relationship, she never got over my grandfather. But I also realized how healing this ancestral pattern was so important, not just to my life, but to the life of everyone in my family lineage going forward. And so I worked on healing that pattern. Divine relationships, these divine unions, divine partnerships, we hear a lot about these ideas of divine masculine and divine feminine. And we may see these pictures that are very fantastical and look so beautiful and have beautiful grand visions of what this looks like. However, for that to actually come into reality, we have to heal the traumas, both the ancestral traumas and the traumas that happened during our own lives. And we must first have a relationship with ourselves. And we must then have a relationship with God. A place to start in creating your divine partnership is in loving yourself. And we've now been hearing a lot about self-love and love yourself, and there's a lot of affirmations about this and working with your inner child. However, it really does start with healing your emotional trauma. Without healing the emotional trauma, everything is just surface level. And so we really have to dive deeply into that place of healing the emotional trauma and doing that deep inner work. A place to start is to be in the present moment. Because in the present moment, that's all there is, right? That's all that we have in our life, is the present. The future and the past don't actually exist. And when you actually feel yourself getting stressed, agitated, triggered by someone in your relationship, think about returning into your body. Think about fully returning into that physical body that carries your soul. And a meditation practice, which is something that we talk a lot about here at Unity of Boulder, is a great way to start learning how to return and be fully back in our body. The reason that we get triggered in our relationships is that they're designed to show us what still needs to be healed in ourselves, what still needs to be loved more. So when a trigger happens from somebody else and we feel that pain, right? We feel that deep pain, and maybe it makes us want to lash out. But if you are trying to create a divine partnership, you really want to take a pause and not lash out at our partner and cause them the hurt that we perceive they've caused us. Because remember, if you think about that subconscious mind, that iceberg, most likely the trigger has to do with our past, much more than what is happening in our present moment. So we want to think about expressing ourselves in a way that will be heard and will land. Many of us maybe have heard about I statements and avoiding accusations and put-downs. Another important aspect of communication is to really think about our timing. And I do think in many things, timing is everything. And we want to honor something that I call transition times. And these are those times in our lives when we're moving from one activity to the next. And another book that I'm currently working on is called Transition Times, the Weak Links in the Fabric of Our Lives, because truly these are the times when we're most vulnerable, and we're also most vulnerable to having issues occur in our relationships. And so we pick the timing, and one hint that I want to give you is to not use that time when people are just finishing work, whether they're working from home or coming home from the office. That hour right after work tends to be the time when people get into the most arguments. They actually did studies where people were carrying around a recording device and they would record whenever they had an argument. And that time, that transition time, was when they would most often get into fights. So we want to really think about when is a good time to bring up issues and to talk about them in our relationships. We don't only want to communicate the negative, however. We really want to think about sharing a deep sense of appreciation and gratitude for what we have and expressing that gratitude to each other. And remember, our words are like spells. They're what creates our reality. So the way we talk and describe something is how it's going to manifest in our experience. So we carefully talk about our lives and we think about how we describe it so that we're creating what we want to see. We really want to think about how we treat our divine counterpart in front of other people. One very important point is we really never want to put our partner down in front of others. I mean, I would say we don't want to put our partner down in general, but that's especially important. We really want to be lifting them up, spotlighting the good in each other, bragging about our partner, extolling their virtues. Because again, you're painting a picture and you're creating this experience of like a bubble of safety and protection. Our outer world reflects our inner world. This is the mirror principle. And we use the mirror principle to see that what is in our hearts and in our minds, it's what's manifesting in our outer world that we're experiencing and in the other person we're with. So if we don't like what's going on in our outer world, we really have to look deep inside of ourselves and see what is going on in our own heart. And this is where that personal responsibility and accountability comes in for our own lives and what we are creating in them. If we don't like what we see in our relationships, we have to dig deep and see what is it that we're creating? How do we feel inside? Everything is interconnected. And our world is a reflection on what is going on with us emotionally. If we have fears, if we have a sense of lack inside, if we have a sense that we're not good enough, that will be reflected back to us. And it can be extremely painful. So we have to really find that way to love ourselves and to find ourselves worthy of what we're wanting to create in our lives. If we don't feel like we're worthy of good, happy relationships, then that is what we're going to manifest. So we want to think about when our energy is down, we want to learn to retreat and return back into our bodies. Take some time to reset, right? So we don't just like continue to go, we're feeling down. It's like we have to learn, okay, there's something going on with us, and we need to take that time to return into our bodies, to meditate, to think about, okay, how do we reset that energy again? We want to give our divine partnerships the attention that they deserve. There's this idea of the emotional bank account, and there's been a lot of research done on this. To just maintain the status quo in a relationship, we need to maintain a ratio of 5 to 1 positive to negative interactions. However, if we actually want to improve the state of our relationships, we really have to up that ratio to 10 to 1. 10 positive interactions to 1 negative. And what we can be thinking of is we're actually like depositing into the bank account and creating that beautiful divine partnership. We hear often that it's important to be true to ourselves, to be our authentic selves in our relationships. We all want to be loved for who we are. But what's important to note is that there are many aspects to us, many layers. And so we want to think about and challenge ourselves to show up as our very best selves in our relationships and in our lives. Because we do get back what we put in. However, a caveat to this is, if we are continuously pouring into something and never getting anything back, we do want to step back and evaluate, is this truly God's will for us? We tune into our desire and into our vision for ourselves. And I do want to tell you I will be holding a workshop here on April 21st from 1 to 4, right here at Unity, on creating divine partnerships. And one of the things we'll be doing in that workshop is an exercise on specifically tuning in to what we want to be creating and that vision. So I do hope you join me for that. There'll be more information coming up on that workshop. Compromise is something that we often hear. And compromise, we understand the importance of it, but it can also have a bit of a negative connotation because there can be that sense of, well, you have to give up something when you're compromising. But in these divine partnerships, I want to really change the idea of what compromise is all about. And to think about compromise as a win-win situation where both partners get to have their needs met. Creating a vision of our divine partnership. I'm a huge believer in inner work and in taking the time to create from the inside out. I always say that 1 hour of inner work is worth 8 hours of outer work. And what would outer work be? Well, that would be like talking about things or trying to persuade somebody or having arguments or just trying to force something into your life. And some of that, of course, can be necessary. There can be some action necessary and communication that's necessary. But if we kind of come back into ourselves and create from the inside out, it is much easier and much more pleasant. And we're much more likely to see clearly from our hearts than our heads. So when we're creating, I want us to really think about creating from our heart center. And this is where our soul lives, I believe. If you look at those paintings, those ancient paintings of saints or of Jesus, you always see like the heart is kind of lit up, right? And that's the light of the soul. And the heart is much truer than the mind. Our mind is filled with so much junk and programming from our upbringing, from media, from all kinds of information that we have received. And that's where the ego is, right? That's the ego, is the mind. So there's many false ideas that come from the mind. So when we manifest, we want to really sink down and think about doing it and creating our vision from our heart. And we can create a vision by writing it out, by creating a vision board. But we want to start with the end in mind. So we want to think about, What is the end result that we want to be experiencing in these divine partnerships? And you can think about, like, what do I want to be feeling? What feeling experience do I want to have? And start with that. Start with that end feeling state in mind. So I invite you now to join me for a few moments of meditation. So if you want to just close your eyes, just uncross your legs, and just allow yourselves to sink into that beautiful, relaxed feeling. And I'll lead you through a meditation of creating these divine unions in your life. Let us go on a journey today and experience the power of our heart in creating how we want to be feeling in these divine partnerships. Just begin by imagining that the center of your heart is a giant flower, and that you're breathing in and out through this flower. And as you breathe in, just think of breathing in love. And as you breathe out, just release fear. Release fear and tension. And with each breath, I just want you to allow your body to relax. And visualize a beautiful golden light starting at the top of your head and just moving very slowly down your body. And this light has some very special healing and relaxing properties. And as it moves down your body, you will feel yourself becoming more at peace and more relaxed. So continue to breathe in and out through your heart and just feeling that beautiful healing light moving down over your body. And just allow yourself to go to a place where you feel safe, loved, secure, your special place. Just feel yourself going into that special place. What does it sound like there? What does it feel like there? What smells are there? What tastes? Just really feel yourself in a beautiful place. It can be a place in nature, a special room, a beautiful home, the beach, just your special place. And let yourself just sink into that place, feeling relaxed, feeling joy. And now I want you to bring to mind, bring to heart that special divine partnership that you want to create in your life, whether you already have that or you're wanting to manifest it. And if you would like, you can even bring that person into that space with you. And just feel yourself connecting to their heart. Just feel the energy between the two of you flowing. And just let your body relax even more. And bring into that vision of your heart what it is that you want to be experiencing. Bring to mind that beautiful bubble love, what we all want to experience. Unconditional love, joy, a sense of belonging, safety, excitement, feeling alive, feeling vibrant, and like every cell in your body is sparkling with divine life. And just see how your partner sees you, the love in their eyes, the connection, how they want to lift you up, how they see the very best in you, how they bring that out in you. And just sit in that beautiful bubble of love. Breathe it in. Feel it in your heart. Seal that vision into your heart. And you may even put your two hands on top of your heart, on top of each other. And breathe in that vision in your heart, the feelings of it. And keep that vision with you, being able to return to it anytime you like by just bringing your hands to your heart again. And when you're ready, you can come back into the room with me, maintaining that feeling, maintaining that vision, and holding on to it. We create that protective bubble love around our relationships. And like a pet or a plant that we're growing, we give it the proper time, space, and attention. It deserves to thrive and grow. We all know what happens if we have a plant and we just leave it in the corner and forget to water it, or don't talk to it, or don't give it the sunlight it needs, right? It kind of withers away and dies, or the leaves start falling off. Well, that's what happens to our divine partnerships without the attention, love, space, and time that it needs. So when we actually do this work, we get to experience heaven on earth right here. We realize that every moment of our life is precious. We see God in the other, and we treat the other in a manner that's befitting a child of God. We check in to see if we're on the right course, and if not, we navigate and adjust our way to get back on track. We as humans need a sense of purpose in our lives. Creating divine partnerships is a way we can achieve that sense of purpose. Harmony and peace on our planet depends on harmony and peace in our own hearts and in our divine partnerships. So let us strive to bring that vision of harmony and peace into our reality and create that heaven on earth right now. Thank you. We will take an offering for unity now.
Thank you, Dr. Eva. We appreciate you being here. That was great. All right. So now we have an opportunity to help Unity out. As you know, everything's getting more expensive these days, from gas to food at the grocery store to heating bills and everything. We have the same thing happening here at this building, and we are struggling a little bit to keep up with paying the bills here. So if the work that's done here moves you and helps you out, please please consider giving a solid offering to it so we can keep this message going and spreading. So with that said, I'd like to take the offering, whether it's a physical offering in your hand or a digital offering in your heart. Let's bless that with this offering statement. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. Amen. And now we have a chance to hear another one of Bridget Wald's songs with Brandon.
Can you step inside this doorway and tell me, love, how does the dreamer inside you show her face? They say my words are empty and out of touch, but I know you know the language of his place. 'Cause I remember you. Do you remember too? Till the way you'll always be. There's no stopping the rising sun. What's done is done. Can you set your own self free? 'Cause I remember you. I remember you. Do you remember too? 'Cause I remember you. Do you remember too? Do you remember too? I remember you. Sing with us. Do you remember too? I remember you. I remember you. Do you remember too? Oh, 'cause I remember you.
Thank you, Bridget. All right, now we'd like to close with our final song. We're going to start with I Release and I Let Go. And we've got Heather up here singing. We've got Alina up here, who's going to steal my mic. And lucky for you, I'm not joining them.
Any other choir members? We'd love to have you.
Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free.
Peace on earth, everybody.